Hi everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Kassandra, and today's slow flow fluid practice is in honor of the Fall Equinox. I love to do yoga practices that honor the cycles of the year and the changing of the seasons, but I realize that I actually don't have any of those classes here on YouTube, so you can definitely expect those from me in the future. Fall is my favorite time of the year, my favorite season. Energetically, fall is the time where we start to turn in. So spring and summer is a time for us to be productive, outgoing, social, to be really focusing our energy out. But fall and winter is all about regeneration, rest, and restoring ourselves. Fall is our opportunity to bring balance back to our lives. This practice is going to be very slow, very fluid, and a lot of the motions that we'll be doing are going to be circular. And this is to honor the circular and cyclical rhythm and phases of the year. The other thing that I want to mention about this autumn equinox is this is a really great time to check in with yourself. Most of us, we start the year in January and we have these big dreams and these big goals. Maybe like me, you make a list of your goals, you might do a vision board, all these kinds of things. And this is wonderful, but we rarely check in on those goals throughout the year. So fall is a great time to do this. Not only do you want to be open and receptive to new and exciting opportunities coming your way for the rest of this year, but you also need to be able to let go of disappointments. So all those things that didn't go your way this year, it's time to let that stuff go and focus in on yourself. So we're going to be doing some balance poses because again, we're trying to bring balance back to our lives. We're going to be doing some forward folds because to me, forward folds are a way to let go of disappointments. And we're going to be doing some hip openers as a way to be open to whatever it is the rest of the year has in store for us. I recommend having 2 blocks. Well, actually, you will need 2 blocks for this practice. So do have that somewhere close by, and maybe also have a journal. You might find that as you start to move, you kind of shake things up a little bit internally, and at the end of the practice, you might find that you have a lot to clear. So specifically clearing and asking yourself, how can you bring a little bit more balance into your life, a little bit more self-care and nourishment, less about others, more about you, and what disappointments do you need to let go of, and how can you really open yourself up to new and exciting opportunities for the rest of the year. So that being said, let's begin in a comfortable seated pose and just sit up nice and tall, close your eyes. So finding that space of stillness. I like to visualize myself as a great big tree whenever I'm sitting up in this meditative pose. So imagine your sit bones like the roots of the tree digging deep into the earth. Can you feel yourself anchoring down into the ground like those roots? And your spine is like the tree trunk lifting up, growing taller and stronger. And then we'll extend our arms up overhead, open the arms nice and wide, and spread the fingertips wide like the branches of the tree. And just take a few breaths here. Imagine you can breathe in through the fingertips and feel that breath go all the way down to the pelvis, pelvic floor, and deep into the roots, into the sit bones, into the legs. Breathing in and out through the nose, filling up the belly as well as the chest, and getting your inhale to be just as long as the exhale. Set your intention not only for this practice, but for this season. And bring your palms together to touch. Lift your gaze up. Take a deep inhale here. And then as you exhale, release the palms back down. Soften the shoulders. A few more times like this. Inhale. Lift up. Look up. Exhale, release it down, soft and steady. This is not about effort. This is not about working really hard. This is about nourishing, about self-care and tuning in. Last one, inhale. And then exhale, bring your hands to the tops of the knees, and we're gonna trace some circular motions with the spine. Keep breathing as you do this. These can be super small circles or they can be really big, but try to keep your sit bones connected to the floor beneath you. And you can go to the other side. Take one more big circle. And we'll come all the way back to center. Make your way into a tabletop pose on hands and knees. So you can have your blocks somewhere close to the top of the mat on either side. And we're gonna take cat and cow, but making it a little bit more fluid, so integrating child's pose within it. So as you inhale, drop the belly, lift the gaze, curl tailbone up. And on the exhale, round the spine, chin to chest, and press your hips all the way back towards your heels. A few more like this. Inhale. Exhale, round and push it back. Keep going at your own rhythm. Inhale to a little back bend. Exhale to round and contract and press it back. Take your last one. And when we lift back up, let's take our first downward facing dog. Hands are shoulder width distance apart. Feet are hip width distance apart. Reach your chest to your thighs, bend your knees generously, shake out the head, relax your neck. So down dog is a great inversion. Can you imagine all of the stress, the worry, the disappointment, the frustration pouring out of the crown of your head? Just letting that stuff go. Making room for new opportunities, new endeavors, new perspectives. And in this down dog, we're gonna take some little waves in our down dog. So lift your heels as high as you can off the mat. And like you're rippling forward like a wave in the water, make your way forward into your plank pose and then wave it all the way back, downward facing dog. And keep doing this a few more rounds. There's really no right or wrong way to do this. We're just trying to undulate the spine a little bit, get into every little nook and cranny. Feel the opening in the shoulders and the hips and the chest and the arms. Relaxing the neck and the jaw. Take about one more. And then back into your downward facing dog. You're gonna lift your heels as high as you can off the mat and then drop both heels over to the right. Come up onto your left fingertips, bend your right knee a lot and push out into your left hip. So this should feel like a great big side body stretch on the left side of your waist. You might need to look under your left shoulder a little. Back into your down dog, lift the heels. Let's do that on the other side. Drop your heels to the left. Come onto your right fingertips. Bend your left knee and push out into your right hip. Downward facing dog. Let's bring our knees down to the floor and lower all the way down to your belly. So taking what I like to call waving cobra, you're gonna bring your hands off of the mat, wider than your shoulders, and come onto the tips of your fingers. Point your toes back, get your feet hip width distance apart, and feel yourself traction out of the spine with the elbows bent as you inhale, ripple all the way up into your cobra. And then exhale all the way down. Do that twice more. Inhale, back bend, lifting up, open to possibility. Exhale, letting go of what no longer serves. Last one. And release, let it go. And bring your palms flat to the mat, a little closer into the tops of the waist. And you're gonna push up into your upward facing dog. So deeper back bend, hips are off the mat, and just wave a little side to side. And downward dog, lifting the hips up and back. So you should have your blocks somewhere close to the top of the mat. From this down dog, let's reach the right leg up to the sky, bend your right knee, open up that hip. And you're gonna step the right foot forward to the top of the mat, in between your palms, and then catching a hold of your blocks, you're gonna place it on the outer edges of that right foot on their highest level. Bending into your right knee, drop the hips, lift the gaze up, keep your right knee directly over your ankle. And on the exhale, we're gonna fold forward and down, forehead to your shin. So this sequence of poses is the perfect representation of letting go what no longer serves and being open to the new. So as you inhale deep into the hips, open up the heart, so receptive to whatever is to come, and then exhale, flushing out the disappointment, the frustration, finding balance between both. One more time, inhale deep into your lunge. Exhale, fold. I encourage you to close your eyes in this practice as much as you can. And then bend into your right knee. We're gonna take a longer held hip opener. So bring your left knee down to the mat. And then both blocks come to the inside of that right leg as you toe heel your foot out to the side. We're gonna lift those right toes up and rotate out on the outer edge of your right foot. So you want your hip, your knee, and your ankle to all be pointing out to the side. Now you might need to stay up high on your blocks, or you might be able to come down onto the palms or down to the forearms. So really deep hip opener, relax the chest, relax the neck, breathe into your hips and low back. So I love to create ritual around the changing of the seasons, but also the phases of the moon. So if you like this kind of theme, you might also enjoy my lunar yoga program. So we always do new moon and full moon yoga classes, all on different themes. And it's really just to celebrate and acknowledge the cyclical nature of life, the changing of the seasons, the passing of time. And we work with different themes for every new moon. Take 3 more breaths here, letting the hips sink down, keeping that right foot flexed to help protect your knee. And if you are down on your forearms like I am, you can come back up onto your palms. And from here, you'll need to point your toes forward a little bit more, curl the back toes under, lift the back knee off the mat, and we're actually gonna step up into Malasana, our yogi squat. So your left foot is gonna step beside the right, feet are wider than the hips, heels in, toes out, bend the knees, drop the hips, hands come together at the front of the heart, use your elbows to push the knees a little bit wider. So if Malasana is difficult for your joints, or if the flexibility just isn't there, you can grab a hold of your block and place it underneath your hips on its highest level, and it'll make the pose a lot easier for you. Otherwise, try to sink it down low, lifting up, and bring the thumbs directly onto the heart. So make that connection. And drawing the shoulder blades down the back. Deep belly breath here. And fingertips coming down to the floor. Feet will be parallel to the longer edges of the mat. Fold forward, ragdoll. Holding onto the elbows, bend your knees generously and just sway a little side to side. Again, pouring everything out that no longer serves from the crown of the head. So whatever you're clinging on to tightly, let it go. Soften your neck. Fingertips come down to the floor, bend your knees generously, and slowly roll all the way up to stand, pushing into the heels to get you there, lifting up inch by inch. And feet hip-width distance apart at the top of the mat. We'll come into a balance pose, because remember, we are working with balance here. So coming into tree pose with your feet hip-width distance apart, you're gonna bring your left foot to the inside, either of your shins, so you can always keep the toes down on the mat to help you out with balance. You can come to the inside of the shin, or you can go up to the inner thigh. Just make sure you're not applying any direct pressure on your knee. So I'm gonna bring the left foot up to the inner thigh. And as much as your left foot is pushing up against that thigh, you wanna feel the thigh press back up against it. And you're externally rotating that left knee, pushing it open, draw the navel in, hands at the heart. And again, to honor this cyclical nature, the turning of the seasons, we're gonna make some arm circles. So staying in your tree pose, holding your balance. Inhale, arms reach up overhead, palms come together to touch. Exhale, draw the hands down the center, connecting to the heart. 2 more like this. Inhale, open up nice and wide. Exhale, draw it in. Last one. Breathe in deeply. Exhale, release it down. Take another full deep breath here and maybe shift your gaze up towards the sky, challenging your balance a little bit more. And then exhale, release. Feet are hip-width distance apart. Inhale, arms rise. Exhale, hinge at the hips, soften down. Halfway lift, flat back. Exhale, plant the palms and just step the feet back to plank pose. We are not trying to push too hard here. We're going slow. Exhale, lower down. Inhale, take a little cobra. Downward facing dog, lifting the hips up and back. Let's go do that sequence on the other side. Left leg rises up, bend your left knee, open up that hip, squeezing into the glutes. And we'll step that left foot forward between the palms, catch a hold of your blocks and bring them underneath the hands on their highest level. So feet should be hip-width distance apart. As you inhale, bend the left knee, sink the hips down as low as they'll go. Get a little buoyancy in the pelvis and keep your chest, heart lifted, shoulders drawing back. And then as you exhale, we're gonna straighten that left leg, fold over. See if you can bring your forehead towards your shin. Relax your neck, let your head be heavy. Push back into that heel. And as much as possible, keep your hips squared to the front of the mat. So twice more like this. Inhale deeply, lunge, lift and look up. Exhale, fold, soften down. Inhale. Exhale. And we're coming into our deep hip opener. Bend into your left knee. Let your right knee come back down to the mat, and you're gonna bring your blocks and your palms to the inside of that left leg. So toe heel your left foot out to the side a little bit. I know I'm not gonna use my blocks here, so I'm just gonna move them out. So the left toes curl up and then rotate out on the outer edge of that left foot. And you can hold here, or you can come down. Whatever variation you did on the first side, try to find it here on the second side. So the arms and the blocks are there for stability and support, but we don't want to struggle against them. Try to make this passive. So fall is a great time to start incorporating more passive poses into your practice, and even more passive practices like yin yoga, where we don't focus so much on strength, effort, and energy, but instead we nourish from within, so letting gravity do the work for us. Yin yoga, restorative, meditation, yoga nidra, these are all wonderful practices to do more of in the fall and winter seasons. And let the hips melt. Lengthening out of the low back. And we'll start to lift the palms or lift the chest. Turn your left toes to point forward, curl the back toes under, lift the back knee off the mat. We're stepping up to Malasana, our squats. So right foot forward, heels in, toes out, bend the knees, drop the hips, hands to the heart. Remember, you can always sit up on your block if you prefer. And draw the shoulder blades down the back. Stay connected to your breath. And come to your ragdoll forward fold. Feet are parallel to the longer edges of the mat. Relax down. Hold onto the elbows. Sway a little side to side. Fingertips to the mat, bend the knees even more. Take your time to roll back up, pushing down through the heels as you do this. Curling up. And bring your feet hip width distance apart. We'll take tree pose on the other side. You're leaning on your left leg, bringing your right foot somewhere along that leg, just making sure it's not applying any direct pressure on your knee. Feel that right leg press open, squeeze everything into the midline, hands at the heart. Our balance pose to bring balance into our lives. Tying it in with our arm circles. Inhale, arms reach up overhead, palms together. Exhale, draw it down to the midline. 2 more with your breath. Last one, inhale, circle it up. Exhale, draw it down and in. Mountain pose. Take your very slow flow. Inhale, arms rise. Exhale. Flat back, lift and lengthen. Plank pose, step the feet back slowly. Lower all the way down to your belly. Take a little cobra. Exhale, downward dog. And let's move into a longer held hip opener, coming into pigeon pose. Reach your right leg up to the sky, and then bring your right knee behind your right wrist. Stretch that left leg back behind you. And we have our blocks. So if you notice that your right hip is pretty high off the mat, you might want to put it under, or put a block underneath your glute, just so you can keep the pelvis squared. Otherwise, if the hip is pretty low to the mat, you can just fold it down from here. And the block can go underneath the chest, underneath the forehead as well. So I love to connect hip openers and heart openers together. I find that it's the perfect physical but also energetic combination. So if pigeon pose is already really intense for you, I'm gonna recommend that you just hang out here in your fold. If you wanna get deeper and start to integrate a back bend into pigeon pose, for the last 5 breaths or so, you're gonna start to lift your way back up. And you can either just take a back bend by pushing the palms into the ground, Or if you want to make your way into your king pigeon pose, you can bend into that left knee and catch a hold of your foot with your palm and maybe just work the pose from here. Or you can flip your grip and catch a hold of the foot with both hands. So opening through the chest and the hips, breathe into the heart. If you are in king pigeon pose, you can let it go carefully. Those of you that had folded down can start to lift back up, and we meet back in our down dog. We'll go do it on the other side. Just step that right leg back. Create some movement a little bit through the hips, through the spine, whatever feels good. And we go to the other side. Left leg rises, bend the left knee, open up that hip, and pigeon pose, left knee to your left wrist. Right leg extends back behind you. And maybe prop yourself up with a block underneath the glutes or just fold it down. So 5 breaths in the forward fold, and then after, if you wanted to progress, we can go into king pigeon or a back bend variation. Otherwise, you're just staying down for the entire time. And while you're folding, relax your chest and shoulders as much as you can. If you wanted to progress, start to lift your way up. So first back bend is just walking the hands, lifting the chest, lifting the heart. King pigeon, you're bending your right knee and bringing that right foot in close to the shoulder. To flip the grip, I like to use my other hand to hold onto the foot, and then I wrap my arm around the outer edge of the foot before lifting the elbow up. Hand can just reach back to hold onto the toe, or whatever is accessible. Open to possibility. If you are in king pigeon, you can start to come out very slowly. And again, we are meeting all in downward facing dog. Move in any way that feels good in your down dog. We'll come to take a seat, taking our butterfly fold before we start to close our practice. So butterfly, the soles of the feet are together, the knees are apart, and you choose how much distance you want to have between the heels and the groin. Holding onto the feet as you inhale, lift and lengthen up, and then exhale, soften it down. So one thing that you can do to make this a passive fold is to place a block underneath the forehead and just relax your arms by your sides. So this is a passive forward fold, which means it's okay if my spine is naturally rounding. It's more like a yin yoga asana, but it means I can't push or pull. If you really want to use force, then you need to maintain your flat back. It's only okay to round if you're gonna let gravity do the work for you and just naturally soften into the shape. A good 10 deep breaths here. Softening the jaw, the neck, the shoulders. And let's start to lift back up. You can use your hands to help the knees bend. Just bring your feet flat to the floor and move your props off to the side. Before we take Shavasana, we'll just take a little twist from here. So right hand behind you, cross your left arm over your right thigh and just push to twist open. So keep your knees and your hips facing straight forward, just isolating the spine. And release, move to the other side, left hand back, right arm crossing over your left leg, push to twist. And unwrap to release. Let's make our way into Shavasana, our final resting pose. Drawing the shoulders down and away from the ears, turning the palms to face up. And before you completely try to clear out your mind, notice if you feel any different than when you first began this practice. Sometimes when we get really quiet and clear internally, there can be a message here. So is your body trying to tell you something? Are you receiving any insight? How can you restore balance and focus on self-care for the next few months? Let yourself relax. Start to breathe a little bit deeper. Moving the fingers and toes or turning the head side to side. Reach your arms overhead, take a big stretch. Let's make our way up to take a seat. Eyes can stay closed as you do this. Just focus in. Sit any way that is comfortable. And visualizing that great big tree again. Our hands will join the heart. Solidifying your intention for this fall equinox, this special time of the year of transition, renewal, rest. How will you find balance? Closing our practice with the chant of Om one time, inhaling to chant, breathe in. Namaste. Thank you so much, yogis, for doing this special practice with me. I hope you enjoyed it. If you don't already, please do subscribe to my channel. Thank you so much. Happy fall equinox, and I hope to practice with you again soon. Namaste.